feel? Let's start off with the easy questions.
I feel really good. We have the momentum in this race. I mean, this election is going to be close. We are neck and neck, and I am not taking any vote for granted. I've been traveling the entire state, visiting with voters on the issues that they care about and what they want to see out of Jefferson City.
Let's talk about hospitalization. Obviously, right now in the state, we're hearing hospitals, especially in the metropolitan areas, saying that they are overwhelmed. Governor Parson saying that they're meeting the demand, they're not overwhelmed. What is your thought and take on that, and what are you hearing?
Our metro areas, our rural areas are imploring Governor Parson to take action. It is very clear he does not have a plan to address the increase in hospitalizations we're seeing across the state, and he is not facing the realities of COVID. As governor, I would listen to our local public health experts. I would listen to the data and the science. Governor Parson refuses to do that. And if he is not willing to acknowledge that we have a problem with COVID in our state, how can he even begin to address it? He has had his chance to get us through this pandemic, and it's clear he has failed.
Nicole, you're traveling around the state the last day before the election. Many people have already decided who they're voting for. Some people are still undecided. What do you say to those people who are still undecided this day before the election?
As state auditor, I have served as the citizens' independent watchdog, standing on the side of taxpayers to make government work better for them. I am in this race to put Jefferson City back on the side of working families. Governor Parson has been in Jefferson City for almost 2 decades. He delivers really well for the insiders that fund his campaigns, while Missourians continue to struggle. I am running to change that. And if he had a plan to address COVID, if he had a plan to lower the cost of health care, if he had a plan to put money into our K-12 school districts, we would have seen it already. He has been in charge. He is just not delivering for the people of this state on their greatest needs.
Nicole, earlier this morning, Governor Parson said that your plan with reopening schools goes against Missouri values. How do you respond to that, and what is your plan on keeping students safe?
As a mom of 3 kids, my kids go to school up the street from my house here in Columbia. We want our schools to open, and we want to do it safely so we can protect our students and also protect families and school staff. Remember that Governor Parson went on the radio in July and said it didn't matter how bad COVID was in our state, that kids are going to get COVID when they go back to school and they'll just go home and get over it. That was his plan. His plan did not work because school districts delayed reopening. So many of them are back and forth between online and in school. He doesn't have a plan. The actions that we take right now to contain the spread of the virus will determine community spread, determine hospitalizations, and determine how schools can safely reopen. I would listen to public health experts. I have a plan. I want our schools to open so kids can get back to school and parents can get back to work. Governor Parson doesn't have that plan.
What does that plan look like in the first few months in a Galloway administration? What does that plan look like, those first moves to try to address this pandemic?
I believe that we need a statewide mask rule. This virus does not know any county line. It doesn't know the boundaries of a school district. It can impact you anywhere you are. And in certain parts of our state, in the rural areas that were supposed to be spared from COVID, now we're seeing positivity rates near 50% in some places. Science has told us, health experts have told us, hospitals in the rural parts of our state are begging for a statewide mask rule because it is a low barrier way to contain the spread of the virus so we can get our lives back.
The Democratic candidates, at least in recent years, haven't had much luck electorally with rural areas of the state. Do you think your campaign has what it takes to flip some of that and earn some of those votes in areas that lately haven't been going to the Democratic Party?
Well, remember, I was on the ballot in 2018, and I won statewide. And while I did win in our metro areas, I also won outstate in counties like Howard and Cole and Galloway, Platte County, Clay County. And so I know that every vote matters in this election. And just as I never took a vote for granted in 2018, I'm not taking anything for granted here. Also remember that Medicaid expansion passed in August by 6 points. And it passed because hundreds of thousands of rural Missouri voters voted in favor of Medicaid expansion. They know that the implementation of Medicaid expansion is on the line in this race for governor because Governor Parson opposes Medicaid expansion, and I know that it can be implemented in a way that Missouri can see all the economic and health benefits.
This morning during a press conference, they were talking about how the Democratic side of things here in the state of Missouri is talking about defunding the police. Obviously, during your first and only debate earlier this year, you said you wouldn't support that. Can you elaborate on that and why the governor continues to say the Democratic side wants to defund the police?
I do not support defunding the police. The governor knows it, my opponents know it, my supporters know it. I have been very clear about that. And the only person in this campaign, and the only person running for governor that has defunded the police is Governor Mike Parson when he cut $1.8 million from our state's police force earlier this year. He keeps saying it because he hopes that it will be true, but it isn't. I don't support defunding the police. I work hand in hand with law enforcement every day as state auditor at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level, and I've gotten 63 criminal counts against corrupt public officials because of my work with law enforcement. And so, he's saying these things because he wants them to be true, because he cannot defend his own record. He cannot defend his own record on COVID, on healthcare, and so many of the other actions he's taken as governor.
Later this week, lawmakers are set to return for a special session. And as of right now, it's just on the supplemental budget. Governor has not said for sure if COVID liability will be one of those things. How important do you believe COVID liability is? Obviously, this is the second time they're returning for a special session. Do you think that this is the time that it needs to be discussed?
The governor already called a special session. He spent $200,000 of taxpayer money, achieving very little. He doesn't need to call the special session for a supplemental budget because the legislature already gave him broad authority to spend CARES Act money. There's still $1 billion in CARES Act money sitting at the state level that has not been deployed to fight this virus. And, he doesn't need to call a special session. He needs to do his job. And this money is going to lapse at the end of the year. He already has the authority to spend it. He needs to meet the urgent needs of our communities and fight this virus.
Two more guys. Do you have one in the end, ma'am? You're good? Anyone else? Good. Good?
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you have done for this campaign to get out the vote and make sure that people know what is on the line tomorrow in this election. I say this all the time, but you can want change, you can hope that change happens, but change just doesn't magically occur or appear on its own. You have to work for it. You have to work really hard if you want the change that you know needs to happen, if you want that to be realized in Jefferson City and here locally. And we have fantastic candidates running up and down the ballot. Who are fighting to make this state better, fighting so you have a better opportunity for yourself and for your family. Parson and I are neck and neck in this race, neck and neck. We can do this. We can do this. We can win. But it's going to take all of us doing it. It's going to take all of us doing that. So I know that so many of you have volunteered to do text messages, phone calls, do lit drops, pick up a packet, pick up 2 packets, come back and pick up another one, sign up for a text shift, sign up for phone calls. Tomorrow, if the election is tomorrow and you feel like there's 1 day to the election, there's 2 days to work. 2 days to work. The work does not stop at the end of the day today. It continues tomorrow, where we are going to be making phone calls throughout the entire state. And look, y'all are here in Columbia. I live here in Columbia with my husband John and my kids. I grew up in St. Louis. No matter where I travel in the state, whether it's in the Boot Hill and Springfield and Hannibal, there are folks just like you, that are reaching out to their neighbors, that are walking and dropping lit in their communities, that are calling people because they want to see change in every part of this state. I could not be here without you. I could not do this without you. I would not be where I am without you. And I don't take that for granted any single day. I am humbled by the support that I have received across the state. I am humbled by the fact we have so many folks that are here that are working tremendously hard, so we can have success tomorrow. So thank you so much. Thank you for being in this fight with me. And grab a packet. Let's go.